All right, so what we're going to do is look to calibrate this monitor so that we can get more accurate colors from the monitor to the print. So I am going to the help menu where I can type in calibrate. You should see calibrate display color. If you don't see it when you're typing it in, you can also go to your control panel, and we're going to go through this process. All right, so we're going to hit next. It says to get started and set basic color settings for your display, press the menu button for your display. Now this is if you have a like a monitor. So a monitor usually has some settings that you can change. Excuse me, the brightness and contrast and even the colors. If you cannot specify these settings, it says just click next to continue. So we're on a laptop monitor right now. And a laptop monitor usually doesn't have little buttons on the side where you can change the brightness. But if you have a physical monitor, it does have that. All right, so let's go on to next. Now, Devonna, I'm going to need your help here. What it's explaining is what gamma too low, good gamma, and gamma too high. So when we go to the next screen, you're looking for the good gamma. The good gamma is where that little dot is blended in as much as possible, and it doesn't stand out one way or the other. Does that make sense?
Okay, yes.
Okay, so when we hit next, you're going to move this slider over here until you get good gamma. Now, I'm going to move it to where I see good gamma. Matter of fact, we can hit reset. And then you let me know if that is also presenting on your screen, because my monitor is different from yours. And the other thing is some of these may not work just due to
that's actually good right there. Like, to me, that doesn't look good to you?
So no, so I want you to control it then. So you tell me if it looks good, because on mine I still see that dot, and it's because I'm receiving a copy of your screen, not the original. So you can probably see it best. I don't see any change with what you're doing right now. So this is only changing your monitor.
Okay, hold on. No dot.
And don't assume that if the by default is wrong. So if it in the middle it looks the best, then that's fine. This is just an opportunity for you to do slight adjustments to your display to make it present more accurate colors on the screen, so you're not disappointed when it prints.
Oh, this thing is messing with my eyes, huh?
And this is showing up right now on the laptop screen, right?
Yes, it is on the laptop.
And see, I'm seeing no changes at all because I'm doing the Zoom version of it. But,
okay, I'm at a good point right there.
Okay, perfect. So for those folks who are following this and watching this, you want to not see these dots on the dots as prevalent. So you want them to kind of fade into the gradient area.
Hold on, let me make sure.
Because the dots can look dark or the dots can look light. But what you want is the best area, and it's not going to be perfect, but the best area where they're not dark or light, they kind of melt into that gradient look.
Okay.
So you got it right there?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to hit next. Okay, so now we're going to deal with the brightness. Now, some laptops won't allow it to do the brightness from here, and most of the monitors, you're going to do this manually, but we're just going to follow the directions. Find the brightness and contrast controls for your display, and then click next. Obviously, these controls might be buttons in the front of your display, or they might be settings that are shown in the on-screen display menu. To open the on-screen display menu, press the menu button that's usually in front of your display. That's usually if you have a physical monitor. You know, by the power button, they'll have like a little menu button. So it says, if controls for both brightness and contrast are unavailable, click skip brightness and contrast adjustment. So we're going to have to click that, because we don't have that on the laptop.
Okay.
Let me see. I might be able to. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to skip that. All right, so the color balance is an adjustment for whether things are too red, too green, too blue, etc. So let's go ahead and do next so we can deal with that. Now you're gonna move these sliders. So this is for you. I'm gonna go back one step. I think this will. Well, you can tell. So basically, you want these grays to look as pure without any tint of any hue or any tint of any hue. So you can pull your reds down and up. Like I said, I won't see the difference because I can't tell what your monitor is displaying, but you should be able to tell.
Okay.
So try moving like just one of them at a time. Try moving. Yeah. If you already think it looks too green, then move green. If you think it looks too blue, move blue. If you think it looks too red, move red.
Now, if you move it, they all look worse.
Even
Like
just a little bit?
Yeah, like this is good the way it is. Hold on.
Okay.
Because it's making it darker.
And all you're worried about is, does it have like a color cast? Like, does it have like a red tint to it? Does it have a green or a blue? That's all. So regardless of whether it's darker, does it remove any color from it? Because like most screens gonna have a little bit of color. Like right now on my screen that's not calibrated, it looks a little reddish, but that's because it's my screen, not yours. So
No,
I'm not telling you
it doesn't look red, green, or blue. It just looks normal.
Okay. All right. So let me check back to see if that's a way. Oops. I'm gonna see if I can hit next for the brightness and contrast just to see if it's gonna look for it. Because I know you don't have a setting, but I think there's a way. Using the controls on your display, set the brightness higher or lower until you can distinguish the shirt from the suit. So what I'm gonna do, there is a way that you can change the brightness of the screen.
Okay.
But it doesn't change contrast. So I'm gonna try to see if we can do that here and see if that helps. Because most times our displays are way too bright. I'm pulling this down. Now, again, you're gonna have to help me determine if this if this is helping you or not, but I'm gonna reduce this screen down a little bit. Come on, little arrow. All right, so I'll just move it to the side. But you can tell what you want to be doing here. So it says, just for the directions, I'm gonna move this out of the way so I can at least read the directions. Why won't this window get a little smaller? Come on, baby, stop playing with me. You see me trying to get that little corner and it just, yeah, like a little kid just wanna play. Sorry, we don't have time. All right, so it says, using the controls on your display, set the brightness higher or lower until you can distinguish the shirt from the suit with the X barely visible. So there are two things we need to be looking at, the shirt from the suit, and then we need to make sure that that X is barely visible. All right, okay. So I'm gonna pull this over so we can see. I don't even see an X in there right now, but you should see it. You do? Okay, so you play with this brightness over here until you achieve the results. Do you see me changing this brightness right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and change it to, you want to see the difference in the shirt from the suit. So that's where the collar is for the shirt and the suit. You want to see a difference there, but you don't want to see an X, and usually that X is like in the background or something. And usually your brightness is going to be somewhere around like a 70, 80, you know, something like that. You know how we like our displays really bright. We'll have it cranked up all the way to 100.
Right.
If you have your brightness cranked up that much, it's okay. You should be able to pull it open.
I'm trying to see this X. Okay.
You see the X now? So if you have your brightness cranked all the way up, turn it all the way up. Just for a reference. When you turn it all the way up, what do you see?
Yes.
You see the X?
I see everything. Yeah, I see the X. I see the shirt. Yeah.
Okay, so now you want to bring it down to where you can still see the shirt and the suit, but not the X. And while you're doing that, I'm going to check my settings because I remember I had to turn this down and I was really shocked at how much I had to bring it down. And it made me feel, mine is on 57.
Oh my goodness.
And I had to realize for myself that I was looking at my screen too bright. So when I thought I was going to print these really bright, vibrant colors, um, it was impossible to print those colors. So I was looking at one thing on my display, but my printer can never match my display because I had my display too bright.
Okay. So I would say like right there.
And what number is that for you?
52.
Okay, and that, like I said, we I don't know if it's just because we're always on the computer, we're trying to see, but we typically have our displays set way too high. So that's good. I want you to go ahead. So you don't see the X. I'm just reiterating for the people watching this video. The X is not visible, but the X should be like right here, right? Is that where the X is?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
barely visible. I mean, I can see a little bit of it, but not really.
Okay. So the X is barely visible, but you can see a difference between the shirt and the suit, correct?
Yes.
Then we're good. I'm going to go ahead and hit next now. Now it's saying to adjust contrast. We don't have a way to adjust the contrast, I don't think. I'll type it in and see. Let me see. Oh, maybe we do. I think it's just whether it's a high contrast on or off. That's about all you can do. So we don't have the option to change it like incrementally. So let's see if we go to the next screen. Okay, I'm going to go back to the settings for that contrast. And what we're looking for is, let's read the directions. Let's see. I am trying to make this window smaller. It does not want me to be great. Using the contrast control on your display, set the contrast as high as possible without losing the ability to see the wrinkles and buttons on the shirt. So as high as possible, I'm turning up the contrast all the way up. Now you're gonna have to tell me what you see. It says, please wait. But that was the only option I saw for changing contrast. If you have a monitor, you know you can kind of dial it in on that monitor. You'll have like an up and down button. Okay, it says please wait. Follow directions. So that's worse, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I think this just means that, yeah, we're gonna turn high contrast off. But you can see with the contrast right now, you can see his buttons, right?
Hold on, it says please wait.
Oh yeah, I'm turning it back off. So
Okay.
you see his buttons, you can see the wrinkles in the shirt. So we're just gonna leave contrast as it is. Like I said, we're a little limited when we use our laptop monitors. Okay, and now we get into the color balance, and this is what this is pretty much what you saw before. The neutrals did look neutral, so we didn't have anything to adjust there. Some of you may have some red tones, some green tones, blue tones, etc., and you're going to play with this scenario until it looks more like the one up top. Okay, so we're good on that one. We can hit next, and you said no change here, so we're just going to go ahead and hit next.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to compare this calibration with the previous one. All right, you ready? Now you have to tell me what you see different. I'm going to click on previous calibration and current calibration. Did you see a toggle?
Go back again.
Previous and current.
No, I didn't see anything really.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Because we changed the brightness as a global change, so it's not going to look any different. And then we didn't have to change the color, so that shouldn't look any different. The only other thing, and the gamma didn't change much. So the only thing we really did was change the brightness to get this to work. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit finish. We're going to stay on current calibration, hit finish, and it tells you can make the text easier to read, turn on clear type. I don't know. I think I did do that on mine. Sure, why not? Oh, this is where you can go through the text and see what looks cleaner to you. Like to me, I can't tell. It's got to be on your screen, but this will make your text look like cleaner and crisper. So
it's the one on the left, the one right there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you click on these because it's gonna ask you 5 different times. So it's kind of like an eye test. There should be one more after that one. All right, so that's it. So we should have calibrated our monitor to our best possible display settings. Okay, now we set up our display. The next thing is we want to make sure that color calibration is going to be correct for our print, right? So I'm going to check the printer itself, and everybody should have these settings. I'm going to go to printers and scanners, and we'll make sure we choose the appropriate printer. All right, and what, you remember what the name, because it was one of the wireless ones?
Yeah, oh, right here, this one.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna click Manage here, and then we're gonna go to Printing Preferences. Okay, and we're gonna set up this to make sure it's default setting. And Vonna, I think you have this already set appropriately for your new 13x19, but we're just gonna go through, we're gonna go through the ropes here. If you have a specific paper source that you know you want to put your 13x19 in, you can select your paper source. Let's just say I'm gonna set this up and then I'll delete it later. So let's say I keep my 13x19 in my cassette 1, or if you have 2 cassettes, maybe cassette 1 is your smaller paper and cassette 2 is your 13x19, because that's probably how it's easiest to access the paper. So cassette 2 is going to be where I keep my 13x19. I'm going to make sure my paper type is plain paper. I'm going to make sure the quality is, I'm going to go to more settings and crank it up to highest quality. Say okay. And then this should also decrease any banding that you might see in your prints when you have it on the highest quality. Next step is I'm going to click on more options, and I'm going to take off high speed. I'm going to turn on mirror image. Then I'm going to come up here to my color correction. I don't want the printer to do any color correction, so I'm going to hit custom, advanced, and no color adjustment. It takes away all that extra stuff. Hit OK. And then I'm going to save this preset. So I will go to add, remove presets. Everything about this should be saved, and I can double check. I have mirror image on, no color adjustment, etc. So I'm just going to say this is like sample, or normally what I do is I save it as 13x19. So I put the paper size first, and then I put whatever ink I'm using. So I will put TRU sublimation. Okay, because you might have to set up these different for each individual type of ink or printer setups that you use. So 13x19 TRU sublimation. And then what you do is you have to hit save. Once you hit save, you can go to close this window out, and I want you to scroll down, and whatever you select here is going to be your default from now on out when you print from this printer. So if you hit this 13x19 TRU sublimation, this will be the default anytime you print from this printer, no matter what program. Now, I'm suggesting that you only print from Photoshop, and then I'm going to show you those settings in Photoshop. So I'm going to hit OK here now, and then that should be the new default setting. And Vaughn, I can change that back for you too.
You're fine. You can leave it.
Okay. So let's go to Photoshop now. So now that was 2 parts. One part was monitor calibration. The second thing was setting the default print settings for your printer. And now we're going to go through the settings for Photoshop. So we have this beautiful image here that Devonna developed off of one of the templates, and she did a gorgeous job. We're going to go File and Print. We'll wait for the print dialog box to open. Right? And we're going to, first thing first, make sure you have the appropriate printer selected here, and that's the one. We're going to click on Print Settings. And once we click on Print Settings, because the printer itself has this 13x19 TRU sublimation saved as the default, all of these settings should reflect that. So I'm going to click on, matter of fact, let me do this because I think we had this one last time. I'm going to click on a different printer and see if that is true. So we'll click on maybe the copy to, and then I'll come back. So anytime you choose a new printer, Photoshop is going to settle this by saying that the printer handles the colors, and it's going to have some type of default setup. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to which printer you're using and the appropriate settings. So now we're going back to the printer we just set up, which is the 9E, if I'm looking at the last couple of digits, and then I'm going to hit print settings. Now see how my print settings were saved? Because the 13 by 19 TRU, I told it 13 by 19 paper was going to be in cassette 2. That's correct. And all of my other settings are correct. Bright white paper, more settings. It's going to have highest quality there. If I come over here to more options, it has high speed taken off, mirror image on, and I check my ICC profile, and it says no color adjustment. That's perfect. Okay, so this is what happens when you set up the printer through printing preferences. It will always have those default settings for whatever print mode that you're using, or program that you're printing from. Okay, so that's that. The next thing I want you to pay attention to is right here in the color management. We have the printer manages the colors, and that is absolutely what we don't want. We just told the printer to turn off any kind of color management adjustments, so that we want Photoshop to manage the color. And then the printer profile that I typically use is the Epson Inkjet Printer 07. By default, that's going to be the best one for you. All right, so that's it. I'll tell you too, rendering intent is going to be relative colorimetric, and I usually keep black point compensation checked off. And that's it. That's all you have to do to calibrate your monitor, your default printer settings, and then also your Photoshop printer settings. That's the whole shebang of color management. All right, so if I were to print this right now, Devonna, do you happen to have 13 by 19 in that second tray?
Yes.
Okay, is it okay if I print this right now?
Yeah, well, not the hold on, let me see. Oh, actually, it's going to be in the first tray, Shannon. I'm sorry, my second
Okay, no,
tray
it's fine. So if that's the case, then all I have to do is come into my print settings, and I can change where that tray. So in this case, oh, I put the 13 by 19 in cassette 1. Just change it to cassette 1. Now it's no longer the default settings, but you have basically set up a semi-default setting. All right, so we have tray 1 selected now, or cassette 1, and that's okay to print?
Yes.
Okay, we'll hit print. Now with these same exact settings, I know you have an alternative ink in your other system. Do you mind if I print out on that one?
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. And so file, print. I'm going to use the exact same settings, and you just let me know which printer it is.
Okay, it's going to be the 7710 series.
Got you. And then we're going to go to the print settings and ensure that the default settings are all the same. And the 7710 and 7720 should have the same print head technology and everything. The only difference is one has 2 cassettes and one has 1 cassette. But you notice, because it's an entirely different printer, we have to set up the default settings all over again on this. Okay, so if I wanted to do this from the printer, Devonna, do you want me to set up your other printer to have the right default settings?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's do it. It'll give us a little practice doing it all over again. So we'll go back to our printers and scanners. And then for the 7710 is what we're looking for now. 7710 series. We're going to go to Manage and Printer Preferences, and we'll do the same thing. Okay, so let's do, it's only going to have 1 paper cassette for this one. We're going to do the document size as 13 by 19. Plain paper, quality, we're going to go to more settings, bring that all the way up to the highest settings. Okay, and then we'll do more options, take off high speed, turn on mirror image, and then we'll go to our color correction and click on the custom and advanced. We'll go to no color adjustment, say okay, and then of course we want to save this preset. So we're going to go to add remove presets. Again, we're going to call this one 13 by 19 TRU sublimation. Same exact process, but a different printer. And we can go ahead and hit save, close that out. And then before we close this one out, we have to make sure that we select this 13 by 19 TRU sublimation as our default. We hit OK. Then we can close out of this. Now I do have to choose a different printer and then come back and it should have those default settings saved. So I'm going to choose our previous one. Then I will switch back to the 7710 and see if it saved those default settings for me. 7710 series. Let's go to the print settings. Devon, is it printing back there?
Yeah, the other one is printing.
Okay, cool. So print settings here. And then we're not going to touch this yet. I'm just going to see if the settings look right. And it looks like it saved all the settings. If you're ever unsure, just click here and it'll reset it. Okay. So that's good. Now we're going to make sure that our color handling is handled by Photoshop and not the printer. So once again, we're going to make sure that we have Photoshop manage the colors, and then our printer profile is the Epson IJ, stands for Inkjet Printer 07, and that one is ready to print. Vonna, does this one have some paper in there to print this print?
Yes, it's ready.
Okay, cool. All right, and Vonna's going to do a test for me. This is something that we could do with one-on-one sessions if you really have problems with your colors and that sort of thing. This is part of a session that we can do, but I'm giving you this video for free to figure out how to do this for yourself. If you run into issues and you can't do it and you need to schedule a one-on-one, you absolutely have that ability. But I like to put work in your hands and show you how you can fish rather than sell you the fish. All right, so this is perfect. And then of course you'll take a photo of those two pressed on some kind of sample and send me a picture of it, and then we can see what's going on with those color issues. But that should be everything you need set up. All right.
All right, ma'am. I will send you that picture in like 5 minutes.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording, but just hold on for me just a second, Vonna, okay?
Okay.
Okay, love.